screaming into pillows, on my knees, begging God, please, can I wake up one day and just be a man? Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Devin, and today we're gonna be doing a little bit of a different type of video. I'm gonna be giving you guys a little bit of where my mind was when I finally realized that I was trans, some things that contributed to me understanding that I was trans and coming to the realization, because I know that in this day and age, it makes me sound like an old head to say that, it can be very confusing to understand your gender, to understand what's going on, to understand if this label of being trans fits to you. But before I get into that, make sure if you're new here, news and not subscribed, you go ahead and press that subscribe button down below to help my channel grow. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, a meal plan, or a training plan, make sure you email me at devindoescoaching@gmail.com and we can get that started for you. I definitely do have the very traditional story of I was masculine as fuck growing up. I was a tomboy. I just wore fucking basketball shorts and t-shirts everywhere I went. And of course, like many other trans guys, the bane of my existence was when I started to go through puberty and my mom was like, I think you need to start wearing bras. And I was kind of like, why can't I just not have this happen to me? But a lot of people do have that shared experience and are not trans. So it's important to recognize that while you may have that experience of being a very masculine girl, you might not necessarily be trans, and there's nuance in every situation. So by no means am I saying I had this experience. If you feel this way, then you're like me. And I'm not saying that you're not trans if you didn't have these experiences. I'm just putting my personal experience out there. The first thing that really hit me was I was on a trip with my dad. We went to San Francisco. Throughout the entire trip, when we got on the plane, when we got to the hotel, when we were riding around in Ubers, when we were going to restaurants, every single person referred to me as sir. And my dad was getting very pissed off at me, and he was like, why aren't you correcting them? And I was just like, I don't really feel bad about that. And of course that became a whole nother problem within itself, but that was sort of my first indicator of, if I was really a girl, wouldn't it kind of trigger me a little bit that people are referring to me in male language? Probably it would, but I didn't fucking care. And this is before I cut my hair. This is before anything. That was my first indicator that maybe something suspicious is going on here. But at that point, I was still in high school. I was going through a very turbulent time of my life, and I did not want to add gender awareness to my agenda that was already very full at that time. I graduated high school. I just felt weird, bro. Like, I felt weird in my body. I felt weird around other people. At that point, I was kind of dabbling with like tucking my hair into my hat and like asking my girlfriend what did she think about the name Dylan. I just started to play around with the idea of like, maybe I am a guy. I told myself, you're not gonna think about this. When you go out in the world, when you leave the house, you're not gonna worry about your chest, you're not gonna worry about your hair, you're not gonna worry about your voice or anything like that. And that did not work out for me. It was only when I started to look at other guys with envy that I was like, whoa, this is different. So ultimately, aside from gender envy, I do think that it's possible to experience gender envy without wanting to change genders, if that makes sense. And hopefully that's cool to say. The ultimate thing, aside from how I felt when I went out in public, aside from how my dad made me feel weak, which I've said before, when I was at home with nobody around me, not around anybody else, but only with myself, I didn't feel right. I wanted to tear my skin off. Even just being alone, looking in the mirror, it felt like this is wrong. Like, this is wrong. You look in the mirror and you don't see yourself. And that's where the term gender dysphoria comes from, which I know is a hot topic, but I can, like I said, this is my experience. I came to the realization that I wanted to transition, that I was genuinely in my core, which I knew all along, I just didn't fucking understand it. I'm a guy. When I was 18 years old, so I started to wear binders. I started to try to cut my hair, and every single time I cut my hair, my dad gave me hell. My dad gave me living hell every time I cut my hair. When I was 20, my dad was like, you are a selfish piece of shit. You only care about yourself. You want to do this gender shit because you're influenced by the world right now. He was like, you want to do this shit because you're weak-minded, you're like your mom, you know, you just want to be a part of a community, and you just think that these people, these gay and these trans people are going to help you out in a way that I never could. He told me literally, you have to make an exit from my house. When I was 21, I started testosterone finally. So from 18 to 21, I was pre-T, I was working out, I was trying to cut my hair when I could, I was punching walls, punching the floor, screaming into pillows, on my knees begging God, please, can I wake up one day and just be a man? I won't question how it happened. Just because, you know, maybe you're masculine, you're assigned female at birth and you're masculine, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to jump from point A to point B. Give yourself some time. A big thing that I made sure of was to not pressure myself into the next thing. As you guys know, I started T in 2020 and I didn't get top surgery until 2022, which that 2 years, it was almost like 3 years. That was a long time to not be getting top surgery. I knew guys who got top surgery like before they even started T. I'm very big on do not rush from point A to point B, from the next step to the next step. Your transition can feel a lot like a checklist. Like, now I have to start T. Okay, now I have to get top surgery. Okay, now I have to get a histo. Okay, I have to get my name changed. Okay, like, you can take your time with all of these things. Do what feels right in the moment. It will come naturally to you. I don't think you'll have to force any of these things to happen. I like to take things as they come so I don't second guess my motivation in doing so. So I think that that is a good rule of thumb, not just in your transition or lack of transition, but in life in general. Do things when they naturally feel right to you and you feel moved to do so. I don't think that you have to sit there and then force yourself to, okay, now I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna do that. I don't think that's supernatural. So that's my insight, that's my brain, okay? Like I said, if you are interested in coaching, a meal plan or a training plan, go ahead and email me. Follow me on Instagram, which will be linked down below. And like I always say, Devin loves you, Devin's a Don, and Devin is out of here, boy.